My wife changed her phone password after 10 years. A week later, I found out who still knew the old one. We met in college. She was the kind of girl who made silence feel like music. I was awkward, skinny, all elbows and insecurity. But she saw through that. Or maybe she saw something in me I hadn't learned to see in myself yet. Her name was Lena. And for a decade, she was my world. 10 years. That's a long time to build a life with someone. We went from sharing ramen in a dorm room to building a home with a mortgage and a rescue dog who thinks he owns the bed. I knew her routines by heart. How she hummed when folding laundry. How she cried at commercials but laughed through real tragedy. I loved every detail. Until she changed her phone password. I know, it sounds stupid. Paranoid. But when you've lived with someone that long, you learn to hear the pitch of silence when something's off. We never kept secrets. I knew her banking login. She knew mine. Her phone used to unlock with her thumbprint, and I'd use it to check the weather if mine was charging. Then one morning, I picked up her phone to silence an alarm while she was in the shower. It asked for a 6-digit code. That was new. I tried the usual. Her birthday, our anniversary, the dog's adoption date. Nothing. When she came out, towel wrapped around her hair, I asked casually, "Hey, did your phone update?" It asked for a passcode. She paused. Not long. Just long enough to register. "Oh yeah," she said. "Just a new security thing." Her eyes didn't meet mine. She took the phone, turned away, and typed it in. I didn't press. Not then. But I noticed things. She started leaving the room to take calls. Nothing dramatic. Just a slow drift of distance. Her phone was always face down now. She kept it on silent. She got home later and later from work, with vague reasons that didn't hold up if you looked too close. I wasn't jealous. I was scared. Because the last time I saw her look at me the way she used to was months ago, and I didn't know what I had done to make that light go out. So I waited. I watched. I told myself maybe I was imagining it. That marriage goes through dry spells. That if I just held steady, she'd come back. But one night, she left her laptop open. Not even carelessly. Just for a moment while she was doing dishes. It was synced to her phone. A message popped up in the corner. A name I didn't recognize. No emoji, no hearts. Just a plain line of text. Old code still works. You're lucky I remember it. That was all. But my blood ran cold. Not because of what it said, but because I knew what it meant. I clicked. Just once. One message. That's all it took. And suddenly, I wasn't paranoid anymore. I was awake. The name was Aaron. Just Aaron. No last name. No context. But something about it felt familiar. I couldn't place it, not right away. But my body reacted before my brain did. A gut-level panic that doesn't ask permission before it tightens around your ribs. Lena came back into the room, drying her hands on a dish towel, humming like nothing had shifted. I closed the laptop and smiled. "Hey," I said, like I hadn't just opened a door I wasn't supposed to see behind. She smiled back. Tired. Mechanical. "Everything okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, just checking some emails." She didn't question it. Didn't pause. And that scared me more than if she had. That night, I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling while she breathed softly, back turned to me. I remembered when she used to sleep curled up against me, legs tangled, her hand on my chest like it was her anchor. Now there was a whole ocean between us. The next morning, I did something I'm not proud of. I went digging. Not like a maniac. Not all at once. But carefully. Deliberately. Like tiptoeing through a house that isn't yours, even though your name's on the lease. Aaron wasn't in her contacts. But the thread was still there. They didn't text often. That was the first surprise. It wasn't a stream of hearts or late-night confessions. Just periodic check-ins. Sparse. Coded. Like two people speaking a language I used to know. Then I scrolled back. Months. And there it was. The first message. From her. "So I heard you're back in town." He replied 5 minutes later. "Yeah." I wasn't sure if I should reach out. Then nothing for days. Then a photo. Of a street sign. Our street. Then her response. "Old code still works." And I swear I felt something inside me snap. Not loudly. Not violently. Just that quiet internal sound you hear when something delicate breaks. I didn't confront her. Not then. Instead, I Googled him. Aaron Cole. We were friends once. Back in college. Not close, but close enough to remember the shape of each other's lives. He was the kind of guy people trusted too quickly. Clean cut. Polite. A smile that worked like a key. I remembered that he and Lena had history. Before me. A semester, maybe. Some brief, hot-burning thing that ended without fireworks. Or so I thought. Turns out he moved back 6 months ago. Took a job at a design firm 20 minutes from our place. And 2 months after that, Lena changed her password. That week, I started coming home early. Just to see. Just to test. Nothing. Everything looked normal. Too normal. So I started asking questions. Small ones. How's work? Anyone new join the team? She'd shrug. Same old. You ever think about anyone from back in school? She laughed at that. You getting nostalgic on me? I smiled. Played the game. But inside, I was screaming. Because the truth wasn't loud. It was quiet. It whispered in empty rooms. In passwords changed without a word. In old codes that unlocked more than phones. And every day, I started to wonder, was I still her husband? Or just the man she lived with until he came back? I wish I could say I confronted her right then. Made a scene. Demanded answers. But that's not who I am. Or maybe I just wasn't ready to hear the truth said out loud. Instead, I became a ghost in my own marriage. I woke before she did and watched her sleep like a man mourning someone who hadn't died yet. I made coffee the way she liked it, left it on the counter, and timed my mornings so we wouldn't brush shoulders in the kitchen. I was disappearing one courtesy at a time. Then came Saturday. She said she was going to see her sister. It wasn't unusual, but I knew her sister was out of town for a wedding. She'd posted about it on Instagram. I waited for her to leave, then followed. I felt like a stalker. Like a coward. Like a man doing something he couldn't explain even to himself. She didn't drive to her sister's. She went to a park. It was chilly, mid-autumn, leaves like bruises on the sidewalk. She got out, walked to a bench, and sat. 10 minutes passed. Then he arrived. Aaron. I recognized him even from a distance. Same posture. Same easy walk. He sat beside her, not too close, but not far enough for strangers. And then she did something I hadn't seen in months. She smiled. Not politely. Not nervously. She smiled like a woman who forgot what it felt like to be watched. They talked. No touching. Just soft conversation. But I knew that kind of silence. It was the kind people slip into when words aren't needed anymore. I couldn't stay. I drove home, hands trembling on the wheel, feeling something between grief and fury blooming in my chest. When she came back 3 hours later, she smelled like cold air and pine. Not perfume. Not guilt. Just quiet. She kissed me on the cheek and asked if I wanted takeout. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just spent the afternoon unraveling everything we'd built. I nodded. Said sure. That night, I stared at the takeout box, barely touched it. She was watching a show on her laptop, headphones in, laughing at something I couldn't hear. I watched her for a while. Memorized her profile. The slope of her neck. The way she curled her toes when something made her laugh. I thought, this is what it looks like when someone you love drifts out of orbit. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I packed a bag. Just a small one. Jeans. A hoodie. Toothbrush. I left it in the trunk. Not as a threat. Not yet. As a lifeboat. Because I knew the storm was coming. And this time, I wasn't sure I wanted to survive it together. Monday morning, I woke up to the sound of Lena in the shower. Steam curled under the door. Her phone, for once, wasn't with her. I stared at it. I shouldn't have, but I did. I picked it up. Tried the code. Still didn't work. Something in me hoped she'd changed it back. That maybe she sensed the distance growing and wanted to build a bridge. But the lock screen remained cold. I placed it back exactly where it was, screen down. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and waited. When she emerged, towel wrapped tight, she looked surprised to see me still there. You're not going in early? Thought I'd take the morning, I said. Work from home. She nodded slowly. Okay, cool. She kissed me on the forehead, soft and quick, like a nurse tending a patient, and went to get dressed. That kiss haunted me the rest of the day. Around noon, I stepped out for air. Walked a few blocks. Ended up at a cafe we used to love. We hadn't been in over a year. I ordered 2 coffees. Instinct, I guess. Then I sat at a table and stared at the empty chair across from me. Imagining her there, back when she'd lean forward with both elbows on the table, talking too loud, laughing with her whole chest. I missed that version of her. But I was starting to wonder if she missed me at all. Later that night, I asked her. Not directly. I couldn't say, "Are you cheating on me?" That felt too final. Too big. So I softened it. Do you ever feel like we're not us anymore? She blinked. What do you mean? I don't know. Just like we're roommates. She looked down at her plate, pushed food around with her fork, Then, I've been feeling off lately. It's not about you. Then what is it about? She hesitated, then said, I don't know. That hurt more than any confession could have. I nodded, got up, started clearing the table. She didn't stop me. That night, we lay in bed back to back. The kind of silence where both people are pretending to sleep. Then I heard her whisper, I still love you. It was so quiet I almost thought I imagined it. But I didn't answer, because I didn't know if she was talking to me, or to the version of me that used to live here. The next weekend, Lena said she needed time to herself. Just a little space, she said, folding laundry without looking at me. I think it might help. I nodded like I understood. Like that didn't sound like the first line of a goodbye letter. She packed a tote bag and left Saturday morning. Said she was going to stay with her friend Claire, someone I hadn't heard her mention in months. I told her to text me when she got there. She said she would. She didn't. By Sunday night, I was pacing the kitchen, checking the clock every 10 minutes. The coffee in my mug went cold twice. I didn't drink it either time. Around 11:42 p.m., the door opened. She stepped in quietly, like she didn't want to wake me. I was sitting in the dark. Hey, she said, startled. Why aren't you asleep? Why didn't you text me back? She froze. Just for a second. Then shrugged. Phone died. A beat. Then another. I stood. You stayed with Claire? She nodded. Yeah. Her apartment downtown. But her eyes did something her voice didn't. They shifted. Flickered. Like she was checking an invisible script and just missed her line. I should have confronted her. But I didn't. I said, okay, and stepped aside to let her pass. She kissed my cheek again. Same soft, distant gesture. Then she disappeared into the bathroom. I stood in the hallway, my hands shaking, staring at the door she'd closed behind her. That's when I knew. She wasn't coming back. Not really. Not to me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room with the TV on mute, the dog curled at my feet, and my brain running in circles. The next morning, I got in the car and drove to Claire's place. She didn't live downtown. She hadn't in over a year. I knew that because we helped her move. I carried her damn couch. I parked across the street and watched the building. No Lena. No car. No sign she'd ever been there. I texted Claire. Hey, everything okay with Lena? She said she was with you this weekend. The typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared. Then, call me. My chest tightened. I stepped out of the car and called. Claire picked up on the second ring. She wasn't with me, she said. No hello. No preamble. I closed my eyes. I didn't think so. I'm sorry, she said softly. I didn't know she told you that. Where was she, Claire? She went quiet. Then, almost a whisper, Aaron. And there it was. The name again. Like a thread pulled loose from everything I thought was stitched together. I didn't get angry. I didn't cry. I thanked Claire. Hung up. Drove home. Lena was still asleep when I got back. Curled up on the side of the bed we used to share like it was hers alone now. I sat at the edge of the mattress and looked at her. She looked peaceful. I almost hated her for it. Then I stood, walked out, and opened the trunk. Took out the bag I'd packed weeks ago. And I left. I didn't leave a note. I didn't slam the door. I just left the silence to say what I couldn't. I checked into a small hotel 20 minutes from the house. Not because I couldn't stay with a friend. I could have, but I needed space. Neutral ground. A room with 4 white walls that didn't carry the weight of memories. The receptionist didn't ask questions. Just handed me a key with a polite smile and said breakfast was at 7. I didn't eat. I spent the next day walking the streets around the hotel, breathing cold air, watching strangers live lives I wasn't part of. It felt like floating. Like I'd become a ghost, watching my own story from the outside. Lena didn't call. She didn't text. And that, somehow, was worse than if she had. Around noon, I stopped by a park and sat on a bench. I watched a couple about our age argue near the swings. Nothing dramatic. Just that quiet, biting kind of fight where everything they say means something else. I wondered if we had ever looked like that. If strangers had once seen us and thought, God, I hope they work it out. That night, back in the hotel, I got an email. Not from Lena. From Aaron. The subject line just said, you deserve to know. I stared at it for a long time. My thumb hovered over the screen, heart pounding. Then I opened it. It wasn't long. Just a few lines. I didn't come looking for her. We ran into each other at a conference. She reached out after. I should have stayed away. I'm sorry. She said you were growing apart. I didn't know how far gone things were. But I never meant to be the reason it broke. If it helps, she never stopped talking about you. even when she tried not to. No signature, no number, just that. I read it 3 times. And each time, I hated him less. Because it wasn't the affair that destroyed us. It was everything that came before it. The erosion, the slow fade, the 1,000 unspoken things we let rot between us. Aaron was just the final gust of wind. We were already falling. I closed the email, sat there in the dim hotel light, and I cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, just the kind of cry you have to get out of your body before it poisons you. Then I opened my own email, typed one line to Lena. You don't have to explain. I already know. I hit send. Then I turned off my phone. And for the first time in weeks, I slept without waking up gasping for air. 3 days passed before she replied. Her email came in at 2:16 a.m. The time told me everything. I don't even know how to say it. She wrote. You were never the villain. Not once. You were always the one who stayed. The one who tried. The one who kept asking how I felt even when I didn't know myself. And that scared me more than anything. Because I kept waiting to feel what I used to feel. And when I couldn't find it, I blamed you. Instead of looking at the emptiness in me. I didn't sleep with him. Not physically. Not yet. But I wanted to. I thought maybe it would wake something up in me, or kill off whatever guilt was eating me alive. I don't know which would have hurt less. You didn't deserve to be the man I cheated on in my head. I'm so sorry. If you hate me, I get it. I think I hate myself more. There was no signature. Just a blank space where her name used to live. I read it in silence, sitting in the lobby of the hotel with a paper cup of black coffee going cold in my hand. I didn't respond. I couldn't. What do you say to that? I kept thinking about what she wrote. That she hadn't done it yet. Like she was trying to salvage some moral high ground from the wreckage. But honestly, that wasn't what stuck with me. It was the line, you were always the one who stayed. Because that's what I was. The one who stayed. The one who held the weight. The one who filled the silence. And I was tired. So I stayed at the hotel another night. Then another. I went to work like normal. Ate in silence. Slept early. Woke before dawn. The world didn't stop turning. But it felt quieter. Stiller. And slowly, a thought began to form. Not loud. Not urgent. Just steady. Maybe I didn't need to go back. Maybe I didn't need to fix it. Maybe this was the part where I let go. On the 5th night, I opened the bag I'd packed. Took out the hoodie. Slipped it on. It smelled like home. Like her detergent. Like the past. Then I took it off. Folded it neatly. And I called a realtor. I need to list a house, I said. My voice didn't shake. I met her at the house one last time. The realtor said it would be easier if both names signed in person. Lena agreed. No drama. No objections. Just a quiet reply. Okay. Just tell me when. I pulled into the driveway 5 minutes early. The hedges were overgrown. The mailbox still tilted from where a delivery guy had clipped it last month. I hadn't noticed how tired the place looked until I saw it from the outside. She pulled in beside me. Got out slowly. We didn't hug. We didn't even shake hands. Hey, she said. Hey. We walked inside. It was colder than I remembered. Maybe it was the emptiness. Or maybe the ghosts of conversations we never had. The realtor was kind. Efficient. Papers slid across the kitchen island like we were finalizing a business merger, not dissolving a life. We initialed. Signed. Passed the pen back and forth. Lena's hands shook. Just barely. I noticed. After it was done, the realtor packed up, shook both our hands, and said he'd be in touch. Then it was just us. Alone. In a house that had held 1,000 versions of us. Can I look around? She asked. I nodded. She moved slowly. Room to room. Fingers brushing walls. Door frames. Memories. I stayed in the kitchen. When she came back, her eyes were red. She wasn't crying. Not yet. But close. You painted the guest room, she said. Last year. You never noticed. She looked down. I'm sorry. I nodded. Not angry. Just done. She stepped closer. I kept waiting for you to scream. To throw things. To say I ruined everything. Would it change anything? She shook her head. Then what's the point? A silence settled between us. Then she whispered, you were my home. I looked at her. Really looked. At the woman I married. The woman who stopped looking back. And you were mine, I said. But home isn't a place you break into and change the locks. She winced. I didn't mean to. I know. She stepped closer, like she might reach for me. I stepped back. Not cruel. Just clear. We can't fix this, I said. She nodded slowly. And then, finally, she cried. Not the pretty kind. The kind that leaves you gasping, clutching at the edge of something you know is already gone. I didn't hold her. I just let her cry. When it passed, she wiped her face and whispered, "Take care of yourself." "You too." She walked out first. Her car door slammed. I stayed behind, just for a minute. Then I turned off the lights and locked the door. For good. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. Nothing fancy. One bedroom, third floor, creaky floors, and a window that sticks. But it was mine. Mine in a way the house never really was. Not after everything. I brought almost nothing with me. Just clothes, my books, and the coffee mug Lena gave me the first Christmas we lived together. I don't know why I kept it. Maybe because it reminded me that we did have love once. Real love, even if it didn't last. I started waking up early again. Not because I had to. Just because. I walked before the city stirred. Got to know the streets, the baristas, the bookstore clerks. I began to feel like a person again. The bag I packed? Still in the closet. But it's empty now. Because I'm not running anymore. Lena and I still talk, occasionally. Civil, distant. The way people do when they once shared a future and now share nothing but the absence of it. She moved, too. Took a job in another city. Aaron didn't go with her. That surprised me. Maybe it surprised her, too. Or maybe he was never meant to stay. I saw her one last time before she left. She asked to meet. We sat on a bench in that same park where I once watched her laugh with him. She looked older. Not in a bad way. Just more real. Less polished. "Do you ever think we could have made it?" she asked. "If we caught it sooner?" I thought about that. Really thought. Then I said, "Maybe. But we didn't. And that has to count for something too." She nodded. Took my hand. Not like a lover. Like a goodbye. "Thank you for not hating me," she said. "I tried," I said. "Didn't take." We laughed. The smallest, saddest laugh. Then she left. I stayed on the bench for a long time. Watched the sun go down. And for the first time since it all fell apart, I didn't feel broken. I just felt quiet. Whole. In the way you only feel when you've been emptied and survived it. Not the man I was before. Not bitter. Just free. It's been a year. Sometimes I forget how recent it all was. Other times, I feel it in the smallest things. The way I hesitate before reaching for a second coffee mug. Or how I instinctively glance at my phone expecting a name I no longer speak aloud. Grief is strange. Not loud. Not always. Sometimes it just sits with you, quiet and patient, like an old friend who doesn't need to be asked to stay. I'm not sad anymore. Not really. Not in the way I was. I think healing sneaks up on you. One day you wake up and realize you didn't check her social. Didn't replay the last fight. Didn't wish things had turned out differently. You just breathe. And it doesn't hurt. I started writing again. Not anything serious. Just a notebook I keep by the window, filled with half poems and morning thoughts. Words I don't need anyone to read. Words that exist just to remind me I still have something to say. I dated a little. Nothing stuck. But I smiled more. Laughed easier. Let go quicker. And then one night, sitting at a bar with a friend, a woman asked if she could take the seat beside me. I said yes. We talked. About stupid things. Favorite pizza toppings. Childhood fears. Songs that make you cry when you're driving and don't know why. Her name was Jill. She laughed at all the wrong moments. Interrupted herself. Had this way of making you feel like the only person in the room. I didn't tell her about Lena. Not that night. But I thought about it. And for the first time, the thought didn't taste like ash. It tasted like possibility. Maybe we all get one story that guts us. And maybe, if we survive it, we get to write the next one with a steadier hand. Not to forget, but to remember how far we've come. And how much we're still capable of. Even after everything.
Hi.